Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jeff, and I'm doing my day trading recap for Wednesday, September 25th. So I traded Nike at the open, and boy, oh boy, that stock was super choppy and difficult to trade. So I'll show you what I saw there. So at the open, I was looking for an opening range breakup here. This thing opened up pretty strong. I mean, look at this pre-market. It opened up. There was this key level here that we had at 92.79. It rejected it. But just based on that, the first 3 minutes, this thing looked fairly strong. So on that pullback, I really wanted to get really, really close to VWAP. So right when it pulled back, I went long and I had my stop right below these moving averages here. So as you can see, it's also the 50 moving average. I went long and it was holding VWAP. And then it printed this nice hammer, and I thought that this thing can get going and break the high of day and possibly, you know, um, start trending possibly. But it didn't get there, and it stopped me out. So that was one losing trade. And then it came back down. It was testing these moving averages. Also, you can see on the 5, it had all these moving averages here, and this thing was just bouncing off of it. So I was still bullish. So right when it reclaimed VWAP, I took it long again with my stop right here. Um, and again, this thing just was just super choppy and just could not get going, and I got stopped out. So those were two losing trades, right at the open, and at that point, I just took it off. Didn't want to trade it anymore. And you can see, look at this 5 minute, it's just choppy. No real direction. And yeah, so those were my two trades, two losers there. And then I know I was also watching PM. Uh, and this thing was gapping up, but it opened extremely weak, and I wish I was watching this for the first one, because look at this beautiful opening range breakdown with this huge wick here, inverse hammer. That would have been a beautiful short, but I was watching it. There was a level here that I was watching, was right here, and I was watching this 20 moving average here. I felt like if this can crack and get below that moving average, I wanted to take that for a short, and it was going to be um, a fairly good entry there, just a safer entry, because on this 5 minute, you notice how it was bouncing off that 20 moving average. So I really wanted to get confirmation there. So right when it cracked that moving average, I went short right there, and I set my stop right here, right above that 20 moving average. Um, and this one ended up working really nicely for me. So as you can see here, let me show you. Yeah, so it's taking partials all the way down, and I had this key level here that was at 75.50 area, and once that cracked, this thing broke it, and then I had this level here at 75.36 that it was bouncing off of. But at this point, I already was taking partials all the way down, so I made pretty decent profit on that, and I left some shares. I left about 10% just to see if this continued down. And if you notice on the one, this thing was kept bouncing off the 200 moving average. It was just bouncing off the 200 moving average, and this price action started to get super tight. So you can see this 200, and then you see the 20 coming right here. So I told myself, this thing is going to break one way or another. So it's wedging, right? So here and here. So once it cracked that 20 moving average, I just got all out, and glad that I did, because this thing ended up squeezing back up. So yeah, I left 10%. I'm really trying to practice on leaving some shares, just to kind of see if we can get a further decline or going up. So that was my trade on PM. So this one was a good trade. It put me back basically from those two losers. So I was in the driver's seat there. And then I took another trade on Nike, of course, right? So I felt like this thing could possibly squeeze, um, and unfortunately, it couldn't quite get going. But I was able to get some profits in there. So right when it produced this hammer here, I felt like this thing was going to be good for long. So I went long right before the VWAP in anticipation of breaking it. Also, it was forming this beautiful ABCD pattern, as you can see here, A, B, and I felt like this thing could, I'm sorry, yeah, C and then D. So we had this level here, or I had this level here, that it had a hard time breaking, as you can see. So it had a really hard time breaking 92.30, kept rejecting that. So this was that third time. So I knew, you know what, I have to take profits there. So, went long there. Right when it got to 92.30 in that area, 92.25, I just took majority of my shares off in that area. And then I left some shares just to see if it could continue and break and possibly get to that 92.79. But unfortunately it didn't, and I just got out at break even. So small winner there. And then I took another trade on MO that I can show you here. So MO, I was watching, and this one looked it just looked extremely weak, and it was just basically respecting the moving averages, the 9 here, and also that 20. So um, I made the mistake. I mean, I should have gotten somewhere around here on that pullback, but I really wanted to wait for this break, and this was also you know it broke the previous close. So right when it made this, let me show you on the 5-minute chart what I was looking at, because I was a little nervous that this could possibly reverse here because it's that previous close. It produced this indecision candle, but once it cracked that, I took it short, and let me see here, show you. So I took this thing short here, and I had my stop at previous close. When this thing pulled back, I wanted to add to my position, and I had a hotkey error, and I ended up getting out of my position. So that was a boneheaded thing. But I ended up just getting back in there, got back in, and once it started selling off, I started taking profits aggressively, and then I got the rest out at break even. So all in all, very difficult trading day. It was really hard to find clean moves or even get into something that had a very clean move. The best trade I had was on PM. I was able to get that nice move there. So luckily for this, I was able to, I'm making out with a little bit of profit today, aside from the first two losers on Nike. But, all in all, not every day is going to be an easy day, man. I feel like this week has been extremely challenging, but, it is what it is. Calling it a day. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it at the bottom, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Happy trading, everyone.